Hello, boys and girls. I'm Zara. If you are students in Cayman between 3 and 16 years old and love reading books like I do, welcome to the first Rotary Central Video Book Reports competition. Record your short video, no more than 90 seconds, on why you love your favorite book, what made you excited, or what made you laugh. There are lots of fabulous prizes. Too many to talk about now. For further information and sign up, go to Rotary Central Cayman Islands Facebook page or email david.rotarycentral@gmail.com. Record your book report video and send it by March 31st. So easy, so fun. The Rotary Central Cayman Islands Video Book Reports competition. Rotary serves to change lives.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks so much for joining us as we invite you to be another part of what promises to be a wonderful, truly blessed Wednesday. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks so much for joining us as we continue to celebrate, look, and as I have been inclined to say recently, hopeful expectation. Well, excellent company of Miss Amanda Brown. And, sometimes when people see and hear you, they realize she wears many hats, involved and engaged in many things. So it's a pleasure to welcome you formally to the studio. Congrats on everything. And as we look at CNCF's new trajectory going forward, in this initiative for Friday, Dress for Culture, starting to gain momentum each year. So welcome and thanks for coming on board.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really pleased to be here.
All right. I was thinking, and as you came in, you saw me, I was looking at the calendar and schedule and trying to figure out. But sometimes we don't stop and savor the moment. We don't stop and appreciate. And in the few intervening seconds between the break, I was thinking to myself, I'll keep talking about unity. I keep talking about bringing the country in. Where I joke and jest, 1,000 different nationalities in the world. But we're living here. We're getting along. There are some changing things, but we, as a collective, are all in this truly together. Yes. So we can make it that much better. And as we celebrate the dynamic people that are here, the interplay of all the different cultures, just the food from that perspective.
Oh,
that
my favorite part.
Thank you. It is my favorite part. And you learn so much when you break bread,
Absolutely.
But you see the similarities, in foods. There may be something that is called one thing by one place, one thing by some place. Mm-hmm. But you put it on the table, you all recognize what it is, right?
That's right.
And you enjoy it.
Absolutely.
So Dress for Culture Day. If you wish, share as much as you can for those who are not sure. Okay. I'll just think back. It's like 5 years now.
10.
No, seriously?
2012 it started.
No.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So Dress for Culture has been going on for 10 years. And for those who don't know, it is a fundraising initiative by the Cayman National Cultural Foundation, and all of the donations go towards all of our youth programming. So to us and to me, it's very, very important, because then we're able to do things with the youths to be able to expose them to arts, culture, and give them opportunities that they may not have had otherwise.
Yeah, I remember speaking to Ms. Lorna in the early days, and I can't honestly believe it's been 5 years. I know
10.
See? No, I'm glad that you laugh with me. No, I was going to say, I joke and jest that, the last 2 years have been long centuries.
Wow.
And I don't know.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, with respect to everybody else, I've found that, thinking back now, well, was that yesterday? No, that was, last year. Really?
Yep.
It just seems that way.
Yes.
But this has been a great initiative, and when Ms. Lorna was on initially chatting about it, you see it now. Dress for Culture. Tell us what it is.
So, as we do sometimes, we have dress down days, and it's the same concept, except we're dressing for culture, and that can mean different things for different people. So you can, if you're British or English, you can put on your Premier League soccer shirt
for
with
what?
The flags. So
come on, I can't say Premier football. Sorry.
Or if you're from Trinidad, if you feel very, very adventurous, you can put on your whole carnival costume if you would like, I know that some people in my office are coming as fishermen, so you can and this year, by the way, this is the first year we've had a theme, and the theme is Majesty. Because of the Queen's Jubilee this year, we decided we would kind of add a twist to it. So if you feel like coming to work or going to school or just hanging out dressed up as a queen, princess, king, whatever you would like, you're more than welcome to do so. It's all about enjoying our cultures and also the theme of Majesty.
You hear that, DJ Lynn? You can dress up as the Queen. You don't need to shave. Hey, there's a 4-foot glass with two.
I didn't realize that was Lynn in there.
Yeah,
darling.
I have to call him, man. He is, honestly, he doesn't mind. He's an inspiration. I mean, the whole team here is fantastic, But I can see him dressed up as the Queen. That would be awesome. Although
he's got my vote too if he's up for it.
Okay, you know what? Let's actually put a challenge out there and let's raise some extra money. All right?
Why not?
Okay, I'll put $500 in the pot. DJ Lynn dresses as a queen, and I'll match up to 1,000.
Wow! All right.
DJ Lynn has that one, and you don't have to shave. Good thing this is radio, not TV.
I know, right?
Those gestures, DJ Lynn, put them away. No, he didn't do anything. He just smiled. He's such a good guy. Well, listen, it is part of, I think, culture is to laugh and to love and to enjoy. And
absolutely.
As Miss Ventisha Conley, sits and assembles with us, a special good afternoon. I like your hat on the sleeve, Some people wear their heart on the sleeve. I like you wearing your hat. How are you, Mom?
I'm good. How are you?
All right. Well, I am blessed, and there's some days when you feel even better, and some days you don't feel as great. But when you come in a good company of people like yourselves, and you'll be reminded, you don't need to dig as deep to smile and to give thanks. So, welcome and thanks so much.
Thank you for having me again. I'm sorry I'm a bit late. We were just at the Harkwell wrapping up our first in the series of Caymanian Proud Memories of Her Majesty event. It was, to me,
fabulous.
A fabulous event. It went off so successful. Our panelists were awesome in recanting memories that you would have never known about because you weren't privy to that behind the scenes. Wow. And our audience was on point, sharing memories. We had Mr. Carlton West, who shared a memory of working with Mac Alpine to actually build Grand Pavilion. Because at that time it was Grand Pavilion Hotel.
That's right.
And that was the place that Her Majesty was going to stay physically in for the 1994 visit. And I mean, those are things you don't think about when you think about Her Royal Highness and what was done to the infrastructure of the Cayman Islands just for those royal visits.
Yeah. I mean,
absolutely.
we got permission to drive down the Central Lane Road. We dredged the harbour up in the Sound. We did all sorts of great things, I mean, a cap bringing the boat across. But what we don't know, and since we're kissing and telling, right, behind the scenes, the reason why we were saying D.G. Lynn dress up like the Queen, she brought some of her dogs, unbeknownst to everybody else, and he was playing with them. We have video. Well, it's on VHS.
We might have to dig those out and digitize them.
He's a joke.
If I get in the studio today, through that one door, I'll be honored. Oh man! But those were good times, and we remember people, coming across and all the school cheering out and something. And there is something, whether you like the royal family or not, whether you follow the tabloids, there's something that's truly majestic about the Queen. She is a lady, there's a book that I've seen, and on a particular farmer's coffee table. And I thought it's probably one of the few that I was willing to look at and thumb through, because she's a lady. Was it in her own words, or her prayer, her thing, and it's something about her. I think she imbues in us a sense of respect, because I think she,
and pride.
Yeah, she is.
And then you just listening to them recount today. Not only was she the lady, but she was a lady and humble about it too.
Absolutely.
Honorable George McCarthy joined us as a panelist, and he recounted how on the Sunday she wanted to go to church, but she didn't want any pomp and circumstance about it. She wanted to walk into church like any normal person, sit, get the message, enjoy listening to the service, and leave. She wanted no pomp and circumstance about it.
Yes. It's probably
very down to earth. Very down to earth. I was actually, this will tell a bit about my age.
34, right?
Younger man.
No, I don't want to lie anymore today. I've done that twice now. Jeez. I actually want to get into heaven at some point.
At some point. We're going to make a call, see what happens.
I know Kiva.
There's a monument in East End on the Queen's Highway. And I remember being there as a school kid, when the ribbon was cut for that.
Wow.
And I mean, that was a very long time ago.
Yes, because that was actually, that was the first visit?
Yeah.
In 83.
That's correct. So I was a youngster. Yeah. But those kinds of things leave impressions, like great impressions. I will never forget being out in front of what was Stereo City, kneeling down on the road, because they had put out a huge screen for us to watch the royal wedding of Charles and Diana.
Wow.
That was something else.
I was fishing.
It was incredible. I was fishing. And it was dark outside because, of course, the time difference,
Yeah. But I think when we look across the Commonwealth, maybe even parts of the Caribbean, even whether we look at the historical record in terms of the colonial aspect of it, there's a respect for her.
Absolutely.
I think it's because of she being a lady. I think to many of the older Caymanian women who imbued the same sense of humility, and not just that humble approach to life, but that respect for others. And because of that, they were also respectful. And the Queen may have been adorned, the finest jewels, but these are the Caymanian women with their garb the same way. They presented themselves in a way, I call it a little straw hat.
Oh yes. This is our cultural pin. So the minister, Honorable Bernie Bush, gave each member of staff one of these, and anytime we're out in the public and doing anything official, this represents who we are as a ministry.
How thoughtful.
Yeah, man. He actually wears his on his head. It looks good.
Sorry?
He wears his on his head. It looks good.
He does. He likes his hats.
Yeah, man. No, but that's I think where, as we look at this whole notion of dress for culture, maybe we come back, we can see it, because it's about celebrating all that we are. And I like your reference immediately to Cayman or to the parts of the Caribbean. We're one people. But let's show the respect for this place by unifying and making it the very best, so that our safety and security, our sanity, our civility, but also the sense of the social and economic prosperity, as well as the political sort of movements in a unified approach. Especially now, when these last 2 centuries have been difficult. We don't know what will unfold in Europe. We don't know how that will transcend into our quality of life, our cost of living, all these things. but as a people, we can, my mother always talks about share and share alike.
Yes.
I'm excited to, engage in the conversation for you to, not just involve and include me, but inform and educate me. We're going to pause and take a break, and if you want, to be part of that vote for DJ Lynn to dress like Her Majesty, hey, listen, no judgment, okay? And he doesn't have to share the beard. Hey, 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Thinking of getting a hybrid but don't know much about them? Vamp Motors has 3 great reasons why you should own the Toyota CHR. Hybrids save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries while being driven. So there's no need to plug in your hybrid, making it both economical and fun to drive. And you don't have to replace your battery every 2 years. The CHR Hybrid is reliable, providing up to 1 million kilometers on the same battery and engine. Oh, and now you can save $2,000 off the Toyota CHR, starting at only $33,500.
That's way more than 3 reasons.
True, but the best one is that it's on sale now. Test drive the Toyota CHR today at Vamp Motors, Walkers Road, while stocks last.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
Wave your country flag, sport your favorite jersey, show off that national costume, or channel your inner majesty with a salute to the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. It's Dress for Culture Day with a Majesty theme, Friday, March 11th, brought to you by the Cultural Foundation as part of K-Fest 2022. Celebrate Cayman's cultural melting pot with a Dress Down fundraiser, open to schools, businesses, and individuals for donations of just $5 for adults, $3 for students. Visit artscayman.org for more information.
Calling all amateur bakers in the Cayman Islands. Celebrate the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Taking part in the Cayman Islands Platinum Cake Competition. His Excellency the Governor Martin Roper invites you to submit your homemade dessert recipe to the Governor's office by April 3rd. Win a chance to have your dessert recreated for the Queen's birthday party in June. Do you have what it bakes? Well, submit today at gov.ky/Jubilee.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks so much. And publicly, I want to say our very special love and respect to DJ Lynn. Man. He's amazing, man. Very encouraging and inspiring. And he not only allows us to laugh with him, but sometimes, with him to laugh at others. I mean, but that's part of the jovialness that makes us our people.
Absolutely.
So I'm very, very appreciative to the managing director designated of CNCF, Ms. Amanda Brown. And I want to make sure I'm going to give her the new title, Senior Deputy Governor and Acting Witness. Why not?
That's a mouthful and big shoes for me to step into.
No, Ms. Wentisha Conley, as part of the policy initiatives over the Ministry of Culture, I think it's important that we see how not only we present ourselves and we carry the pride, but we bring others along, not just for the journey, but to be included.
Yeah, it goes with the theme. It's actually honoring Women's Month. As we know, we celebrated that day yesterday, but one comment that I keep seeing, and a quote that I keep seeing is, we rise by lifting others up.
Absolutely.
And it's not just about women, but it's about our culture in general. When we move up, bringing those younger ones behind us and teaching them and engaging them in what we know, our culture, our heritage, our politics, our, economics side of it, the agriculture side of it, making sure that they're well-rounded individuals and they rise just like we rise.
Yeah. What is it that we've always told, a rising tide floats all ships.
There we go.
And
there you go.
It's really true, and the idea that as you move to the top, you pull in others with you, right? And hopefully those below are pushing you as well, knowing with confidence that you get in there and you're going to be the hand that extended down to bring them up as well.
Each one of us have a gift.
We do, man.
Each one of us have something to give, and as long as we're all pulling in the same direction, we can do some amazing things.
Yeah, well, Sterling, I'm going to need you to write down that title because I need to put it on my business card.
Did you just print it off?
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to have that shortly.
I'm going to need to print new business cards for that one.
But you can't feel the part in waiting. Right?
In waiting. Make sure that's in brackets right there.
No more acting, no more designating. No, but I look sometimes at things that happen so internationally. I particularly enjoy comedians because many of them, people may be dismissive, but they're super intelligent.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And not just intelligent academically, intelligent, more importantly, they understand people. They understand what has happened throughout history and what is happening now. I think they would be like newscasters if newscasters were let off the leash to actually smile and be real people, right? And, one of the best ones probably was George Carlin, but for his expletive-laden commentary.
Yes.
If you could find a way to edit out that, the guy's a great philosopher.
Absolutely.
A great commentator. But we don't laugh enough. And when we think of the Cayman context, for instance, you watch a domino game sometimes. Hey,
that's some stressful boy.
That and a Lude game. I've
yes.
never learned how to play Lude, and yes, don't shoot me for it, but I haven't learned.
No, you, I'm right there with you.
But to sit and watch the theatrics,
yeah,
behind it, it is beautiful. But getting back to
but that's part of it. Not worry to me is my preferred game over Lude. Right, and it's probably that face-to-face sort of thing. You can get a stare him down, right? Don't play the real banker though, because I won't say he cheats, but he wins. So I'm not sure what a strategy. No, but thank you, Ms. Ventisha, because that is where we see the theatrics even in our society, and it's not posturing and gesturing. If the Honourable Minister of Sports and Culture won't allow, he was probably not the fastest football player on the field.
But he was strategic.
He was effective, and you rarely got past him, right? And if he committed a foul, well, it wasn't a foul, it was just an advanced play.
Part of the strategy.
That's it. That's it.
So it comes, okay, sorry.
We could talk about these things for days, but I just want to make sure that we're getting the message out for Friday, along with the normal Dress for Culture that Amanda is talking about. That is a CNCF fundraiser, and we want to see all those colorful country costumes and the Caymanian pride, not just at government building, but in all businesses across the Cayman Islands and all schools across the Cayman Islands. I had a friend reach out to me. I need to find that little flag shirt, because my daughter's preschool is having Dress for Culture, and I want to make sure she's got our Caymanian shirt on. So we want that message of being prideful in our culture and our heritage to start at that, that smaller, that baby stage, and move up and be permeated throughout what we're putting out in the Cayman Islands, because some people will say, we've lost some parts of our culture and heritage, and we at the ministry, we hear it, and we want that to be a phrase of the past.
Absolutely.
We want to make sure that moving forward, every child in the Cayman Islands, every person who comes to call the Cayman Islands their home, knows exactly what it is to be uniquely Caymanian.
Yeah, And what is really beautiful for me is not just twofold. One, I think primarily to get to appreciate Cayman again through the lens of people who have come here from afar. They were not born here. Some have been here for decades.
Absolutely.
Some have only been here for a few months. But they see what is that we have taken for granted for so long. So to interact with them, you get to appreciate the things that you pass by sometimes without giving a second glance, or you actually forgot how beautiful East End is, or how beautiful Barcross is, or how important it is to do these things. But then the second thing is that those same people who come here, they still embrace who they are, but they've managed to, for example, like a ship, they got the flag or registry, they got the port flag and the host port, and they fly them together. And that to me shows a sense of unity, because if you're in this space and you're making it the very best, whether you're there for a year or for a century, that space is as best as possible. To be a space that's good for you. And I think that's what I like to see more of in our people, that unity. So it's going to be great, Mr. Mando.
Yes, I mean, I hope everybody participates, because it's fun as well, right? And I know a lot of the offices that get involved, they always bring the food along too. And it's a perfect opportunity to get some Cayman-style beef up in the office to share with everybody.
I wonder Mr. McClellan can rust up some turtle, huh?
And yeah, exactly. And I'll go East End for that.
So Friday, at the government building, we are having a Dress for Culture Day in the building itself. So we're having activities throughout the day. Starting at 9:15, we take our normal photo on the steps of Gab. So everybody in their regalia and so on. A couple of us in the office are going as old-time fishermen. So rolled up khakis and wide brim hat and that linen shirt.
I will ask who we're going to lead in that charge.
So we start off with the picture, and then the minister will open up with a few words, and we will have the national song and anthem performed by Georgetown Primary. So we want to make sure that even though it's in the government building, everybody can come and enjoy the event. And then at 11, we will be having a quadrille performance by the East End Primary students. I mean,
I'm so excited about that.
I need to learn it.
Me too.
I've got 2 left feet, but I'm willing to learn.
Can you have 4?
You can have my 2 right foot, but together we'll be.
So, and then we'll have a lunch and learn on Caymanian culture. This is a joint project with the Department of Tourism and their staff, who immerse themselves in, teaching what Caymanian is to persons. So they're going to have a lunch and learn in the big conference room on the ground floor. You can come, stay for a few minutes, stay for the entire hour, listen and learn. Then the cafeteria is going to be having a Caymanian themed lunch. So some Cayman style beef, some fish and fritters, a little bit of everything Caymanian.
Go on, except
for turtle.
Don't worry, man. I got my brother on speed dial. Not to worry. Once Mr. McClellan can put it aside, we're good to go.
Okay.
I got my spoon and fork already.
The cafeteria guys said, we don't think we could pull that one off.
They can't.
It's better than not try.
Yeah. It's there's an art to
there certainly is
to cooking turtle. I haven't learned it. I'm not a big fan of it.
So we won't tell nobody.
Don't worry, we get your share.
And then for the afternoon, we'll have a net making demonstration. So those East End older gentlemen are coming down. Mr. I think his name is Carlu. Jerelu. Papa Jerelu, I hear them call him. He's coming down and doing some net making and rope making demonstrations. So you can come and watch that. That's going to be in the back end of the cafeteria. The National Museum will have a booth there of all the, Cayman memorabilia. If you want to purchase something, the lapel pins, different little things, books that are on Cayman history. Then we're going to have an hour where we hear from our seafarers, giving stories of the seas and their travels throughout.
The PG version?
Yes, the PG version.
Just checking. I mean, I heard a couple after church and I thought, dang, this is the PG version.
They were sailors. I say that because my grandfather was a sailor and was a seaman, and the stories I heard growing up, yeah.
We're not PG.
No, they were colorful.
They were vibrant.
And throughout the entire day, we'll have a catboat displayed on the side of the building there. So if you want to go and take your photo around that catboat to, make sure that you have that big cultural element in it, that's going to be there. And also, and I keep, because it warms me inside from being a former teacher, year 2 Palmer from Prospect Primary just did a cultural and heritage project on historical buildings in the Cayman Islands. And so these kids had to actually make a replica
of the building
the buildings from recycled material, so not,
That's awesome.
And they have some very intricate designed, right down to the very minute details of places like the museum and Pedro St. James, those historical buildings that we have around the islands. And so they're bringing those there also to display for everybody to see.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So
I'm excited to see that.
I'm so looking forward to those things.
All right. Well, let's pause quickly and respectfully.
Sure.
I already had...
we got to pay some bills.
Are we making enough to pay that bill? I mean, trouble it just caused. We probably can't afford it. All right, when we come back, we'll continue our discussion. Dress for Culture. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skin care, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drportercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
As seniors, we owe it to each other to stay safe and healthy through this pandemic. Let's make sure that our COVID-19 vaccinations are up to date, including getting boosters, and be aware of your surroundings so that we can manage the conditions that make us more vulnerable. Remember, we're in this together. So do your part. Get boosted. You can visit www.gov.ky/coronavirus to learn some more.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks so much, for allowing me to at least laugh a bit. And thanks to our wonderful guests, and again to DJ Lynn for showing how you can be kind and considerate and loving to one another, and charitable even to West Bayers. So I really appreciate that. I mean, it's just that Savannah and him really makes it so endearing. But we have...
That's part of our culture. We're very hospitable people.
Is that what it is? Hospitable? I said
it.
charitable. Yeah, I just...
That's the Cayman kind.
That is the Cayman kind. Absolutely. That is the Cayman kind.
There's two wonderful individuals joining me. It's Ms. Amanda Brown, the Managing Director of CNCF, and Ms. Ventisha Conley. We talk about Dress for Culture this Friday, right?
That is this Friday. As I said to you before, it's a fundraiser, and that is in its 10th year, which you were so surprised at.
I honestly, I thought of 5 years. I can't believe it's been 10.
Yep. Since 2012, absolutely. So please jump onto the website. That's artscayman.org and fill out a registration form and send it in to us. We're also having some prize givings. Take pictures, email them to us at info@artscayman.org, and we're going to post them on our Facebook page. And we have 3 categories. There are the schools, the companies, and the individuals. So each category, there will be a winner of who gets the most likes, and they will have bragging rights among other wonderful surprises.
There you go, man. And nothing to incentivize, I just love healthy competition.
Naturally.
And I think, the idea of taking a minute to breathe and to look and appreciate, especially now. We see the global landscape, we see the geopolitical landscape, we see all these things that are happening, and the constant divisions, even in our society. But I think, if you remind me, my children say, football reference again. If it's economics, it's football. but you watch a good game of football. The fans in the stadium, except what the media call the English hooligans, that aside, right? We watch all the fans enjoying that game, cheering for their team, and then they'll retreat sometimes to the same space. At least that's how it used to be. We want Cayman to be that place where you're all together, irrespective of where you were from originally, whether you drove as far as from West Bay, you came in from East End, right? And you congregate in town and you celebrate, you break bread and you fellowship, and you appreciate what we have here. It is a majestic place, and I guess honoring the Jubilee, it can be a wonderful time.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So if I'm okay, without asking too much, have you decided what you're going to wear, Ms. Ventisha?
I'm torn between 2 things.
You can't go as the queen because DJ has got that covered.
Yeah, and I'm not going to step on. I'm not going to step on His Highness's toes there. He can be the queen. But I think we're going to do the old Caymanian fisherman.
What was your other option?
Well, it was the royal dress, so the very prim and proper.
But DJ has that covered.
So. I mean, I almost sourced a crown too. So
what?
Actually, we're looking for one for him. Can we get that?
Hey, we can find one for him.
Out, man.
Yeah.
We can find that for sure.
But yeah, the old Caymanian fisherman. I'm going to be busy that day, so I want to be comfortable.
Absolutely.
You got wampus too, or wait,
I haven't found any wampus, but I just found a length of rope to tie my pants up with.
Nice.
Oh my gosh, man.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very authentic.
Yes.
Love
yes.
It.
Truth be told, she just went to the minister's house. It's just his regular clothing. It's no big deal. Yeah. Oh, sorry, we're on air. Sorry. He might block the road into West Bay. There's only one now, so I'll take the cap. But no, I appreciate you laughing and give people ideas of what they can wear. Because some of us, even generational Caymanians, the younger ones sometimes the older ones don't necessarily realize that. Oh, you mean that's traditional? Yeah, that's what I wore all along. Yeah, I just think to my uncles, they come out, and this is what they wore. Right?
And still nowadays, I take for example Mr. Tenson, Scott in Cayman Brack. You don't see Mr. Tenson without a pair of khakis, one leg rolled up, not both, one leg rolled up.
All right.
And that long sleeve button-down shirt, that couple buttons are left open because it got to get air. And his
that's
hat,
what it is. That's what's up the chest.
That chest got to get air. And his little hat. And we watch him on the Iron Shore, go fishing from 6 in the morning. And he's right there on the Iron Shore, fishing all day with that wide brim hat on.
Nice.
And it looks so peaceful and comfortable.
Yeah, man.
That's the difference I find. We talk about culture and heritage, and there are lots of flashy ones out there. There's lots of feathers in Trinidad. There's lots of reggae in Jamaica, And Cayman is a bit quieter.
Yeah.
It's like you say, it's majestic, it's humble, it's swinging in a hammock, it's listening to our parrots and being in the sea breeze and enjoying nature. We've got a culture. It's just a different kind.
If you would, for 2 seconds, cast your mind back to some of most of the elderly women or sisters or grandmothers or aunts raking the yards. I think of Abby, for instance, and I can see her knowing the dress. And if you look at her before she comes out, you think, well, she's going somewhere, right? But the hat, the button-down sleeves, and she's working, right? And there's so many other, with great respect to everybody else, the older women who were out there with the rosemary broom and they were cleaning their yard.
Yes.
And the way they were dressed. And I remember one time, I should be careful. My parents say, don't kiss and tell. But I believe one time my parents probably said to me, stop staring. But I was very, very young. I wouldn't say I was small because I didn't grow much since then. But I looked and I thought, wow, I actually could see the clothing, see the effort, and without question, here's a lady working extremely hard, but don't look like she's sweating. There's no huffing and puffing, right? And it's something about it. It's that majestic approach.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you're talking about that, and I can recall walking to and from school and crossing. You would know her, Miss Lurley Scott's yard. That is the most beautiful yard because it is white and pristine, and her little plants are strategically around. So you've got this big expansive white yard, and I can recall Miss Llewell, we call her Aunt Lurley, and Uncle Tom out there with that rosemary broom. And she's got on her nice long skirt and her little long sleeve shirt, so she's not getting burned up by the sun. But you're right. There's not a bead of sweat. On her. Yeah. And you think back on those memories and think, wow. We walk outside now in our regular clothes and it.
It is true. I mean, I recall that day vividly, and I can see myself standing there, staring, and I'm thinking, it's hot. I know it's hot, right? But the way she's dressed and the way that broom was just moving, and I couldn't hear, but I'm convinced that she was either reciting prayer or singing, humming a little hymn or something, and she's working. Now, a very, very serious woman, that leather tan skin. It's just, anyway. You know what? I should be careful. Let's take this phone call. We are honored to be talking about our culture, and we invite you to be part of the Dress for Culture on Friday. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, everybody there. This is Lorna Bush, and just wanted to weigh in a little on what you were talking about. One of the young ladies, though, just said something that I had in mind to tell you, and that was how practical our older people were, because that thing with the long sleeves and the button up and the wide brim hat was all for sun protection. They might have referred to it as not getting burnt up, but even as a child, I remember my mother and grandmother insisting that you wear a little long sleeve. We used to call them jackets, a little long sleeve blouse, really.
Yes,
they were referred to as jackets. And I would venture to say that the occurrences of skin cancers would have probably been a lot less back then, because we were using a very natural sunblock. We were using a natural fabric, the cottons that our clothes were made of. I'm really pleased that I was a part of the very first Dress for Culture, and I was right there in the midst of it, and I'm happy that it has caught on, and indeed that it has remained a component of the KFAS. And one of my real pleasures was to see the little children. There's a preschool in particular that embraced this so heartily. And it was the very essence, I believe, of what we were trying to achieve. Because in that particular school, I think we had a lovely capture of possibly 25 of the many cultures that are represented in Cayman, and they embraced it, and it was lovely to see. Let's for instance say a little Indian child, but dressed in a Caymanian costume, dressed specifically as Julia or something like that. And I do believe that's one of the things we really want to highlight. We want to highlight how much we're alike. We always hear about how the differences. But as humans, you know, we have more things in common. We have more commonalities than we have differences.
Absolutely. Yes.
And it's the children who show you that. If we could only learn from children, they don't have these preconceived prejudices and notions. They are just, I wish we could learn from them. And in closing, I'd just like to say that, of course, I am a proud Caymanian who value our differences. We value our culture. I'm happy that we're not quite as loud as some others, but still, that loudness has even been embraced here now and has become part of the culture, because culture is an ever-changing, evolving phenomena. Culture is not fixed in stone. But I would always say, if I was ever asked to speak on the topic or speak to anyone, I would always say I prefer not to think of it as a giant melting pot, because when we melt down, we may lose the very things that we care about the most. I rather think of it as a lovely, lovely, colorful salad where you put in all the ingredients, you can spin up, do whatever, but each individual item in that salad retains its individuality. If there's a piece of citrus in there, it's going to still come out as a piece of citrus in the end. If there's a broccoli I'm sure you get the picture. So while we can be blended together and make into a lovely tossed salad, each one still has their individual characteristics, which is so important to remaining true to who you are. True to who we wouldn't want people to come here and forget about their homeland, but we would love for them to blend in with us in that cultural tapestry, that cultural tossed salad. I thank you. I wish you the greatest success. I hope you raise the most money ever, because our programs for the youth are more important now than ever.
Absolutely.
So,
thank you, Ms. Norno.
Give me just a little bit of time. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ladies, I know that you have other pressing engagements. We can either do things. I do apologize. We have the news break to take.
Sure.
Maybe a few quick minutes after, just to wrap up and recall, if you wish,
Sure.
Tisha. All right. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Continuing the Caymanian tradition.
Let Cora keep my ground so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
There's the news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, I'm April Cummings. Consolidated Water, trading on the NASDAQ Global Select Market as CWCO, announces its board of directors has approved a quarterly cash dividend of 85 cents a share. The cash dividend is payable April 29th to shareholders of record at the close of business on April 1st. Consolidated Water is a leading developer and operator of advanced water supply and treatment plants. In international headlines, Ukrainian officials say a Russian strike has hit a children's hospital and maternity facility in the besieged southeastern port city of Mariupol. A statement on the city council's social media account today said the hospital has suffered, quote, colossal damage. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky tweeted there were children under the wreckage, and called the strike an atrocity. The deputy head of Zelensky's office says authorities are trying to establish the number of people who may have been killed or wounded. The Venezuelan government has freed 2 jailed Americans, including an oil executive imprisoned alongside colleagues for more than 4 years, as it seeks to improve relations with the Biden administration amid Russia's war with Ukraine. That, according to a White House announcement last night. Gustavo Cardenas was released following a secret weekend visit to Venezuela by senior Biden administration officials, the first White House trip to the country in more than 2 decades. Also freed, Jorge Alberto Fernandez, who was arrested last year on what the White House described as, quote, spurious charges. Those are your headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom. I'm April Cummings.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome back, and thanks very much for joining us. And as we talk about Dress for Culture, I'm honored that Miss Ventisha Conley together with Miss Amanda Brown would take some time out to share with us. And, just this few minutes of almost reminiscing, but showing great respect and appreciation for who we are, for where we are, and inviting all of us to collect, as Miss Donna said, come into it. For me, it's like a good fish tea,
There you go.
And you sit down in the back porch, whether you got a hummock that you can couch in afterwards, or whether you just sit there and you regale about the days, but you'll be appreciative of what is to come. Can I just read this quick message that came through as we share? Says, hi to you and all your guests. I should pop it further away so I can see it. Says, please let ladies know that I am beyond grateful for their planned Dress for Culture Day, as I feel we are losing what makes us Caymanians. Could you consider having these same activities kind of regularly on Saturdays, where public who may work throughout the week can go with their children and learn together how to make rope and those beautiful wide brim hats?
Okay, so I'll speak to that, and then Amanda can join in.
Yes.
One of the missions of and the things that the Ministry of Culture and Heritage is looking forward to doing is actually making that a staple in our community. Mm-hmm. Right now, every first Saturday of the month, the museum, it's free. So you can take your kids on the first Saturday of every month to go in, see the exhibits, and they are wildly entertaining and educational exhibits in the museum. That's one of the first steps we're doing, but we're also looking at making these cultural and heritage learning experiences more widely done throughout the year, and so. It's one of the things that you're going to see more of happening as we go throughout the next couple of years, and CNCF is going to be an integral part of making sure that our culture and heritage is taught not just 5 days in the school, but it's taught 7 days a week.
Yeah, it's not.
And it doesn't stop at school.
Exactly.
See, one of the biggest things that the donations go to that we collect at CNCF is for the programming, especially for the summer camps. And we do all kinds of things in those summer camps, whether it is visual arts, whether it's thatch, rope, we cover all of those things. That's what we're learning. We're learning our heritage, our culture, and letting children express themselves as well artistically. Yes. Because that is very important, because I am so thrilled and excited to see what our people are producing in the way of art. I'm absolutely blown away. Yeah. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
I think increasingly as the ministry is leading the initiative, and not just the activities, but reminding people that there actually are things happening, there are more things to come. Many of us don't appreciate that something is ongoing, and it's only after the fact that we find out about it, especially now.
And one thing about it is we've been a bit too quiet about our culture and heritage and keeping that alive. And the one thing the ministry is keen on doing is actually shouting. Yeah. And saying, this is what we are all about as Caymanians, and we want to make sure that my generation passes it on to the next, and so on and so on.
And CNCF is so excited. I mean, I am so happy to be coming in at this time, because the ministry is so vocal and is so excited and is so focused on what they're doing and doing it loud and proud. To be able to echo that as, one of the vehicles that they can use to do those things.
I think it's unfortunate sometimes that we allow, and maybe this is a sort of casual discussion we have elsewhere, but it's one that needs to be echoed publicly as well, so that we embrace it. If you go to some places, a friend, prior to the last century, visited, one of the Nordic countries, and there was a reenactment. Okay, the children were using the wooden swords. There was storytelling, and they were trying to keep, the Viking, the Nordic, alive, right?
Yes, that's cool.
We see that, and yet when we come to Cayman, some of us will laugh and say, "Oh, that old foolishness," but it's important because so much is lost. But sometimes it's not just reinterpreted; it's actually revised. And if that happens, 100 years from now, it may not mean nothing to you, but it's going to mean something for those children.
Yeah, and it goes to say that, we as Caymanians actually need to not just speak our own history, but write our own history. Don't let someone else come in and write that history for us, because we're seeing it through their eyes,
right?
Not us as a Caymanian people.
Storytelling from Caymanians has got to be like my favorite pastime.
I love it.
I just can't get enough of it. And I had recently the most awesome experience with listening to Aniki Brown telling the story of Piana.
Oh, yes.
Listen to me, I never laughed so much.
Yes. and it was quite relevant today at the Caymanian Proud event. We opened the floor up for the audience to give, share those memories. And an older lady named Miss Wawa, I think, I didn't get her correct name, but they said that's what they call her, Miss Wawa. She, at 94 or something, was there in her wheelchair, listening, smiling the entire time. But then she gave her little memory of actually meeting the Queen.
Wow.
And, shaking her hand and talking to her. And it's those things that we need to capture and just keep for posterity, because, in a few years, it's going to be somebody else.
Yeah. And this is, I think, in celebrating Friday, but all day, every day, as we say, whether in schools or homes or churches, it's about being very, very respectful, but having pride and making sure that when the story is told, that it's an accurate portrayal.
Yes, absolutely.
So the historian comes down and is commissioned to write something great, but if there's something that is incorrect or needs a little adjustment, then do it. Don't be polite and say, well, that's okay. It's only off by a decade, or it's only that's not good enough.
That's important.
And just
that
like how
important.
When our ladies went out to rake the yards primarily, they didn't just go there to show. They went to work, but they were mindful of what they did. Now we look back on it and see how wise they were and how they dressed, and to think that they had this pride in themselves. It's important for us to carry that tradition on. So
absolutely.
Maybe in closing, I'll ask Ms. Antisha from that perspective. People hearing it, we know the new government building is going to be alive with culture for those in other offices. What do we need to do to participate?
Come on over.
All right.
Our doors are open. Come on over. We start at 9:00, and it's throughout the day. Our program will be posted on our social media pages, on the Cayman Islands government pages. So look for it. Again, with CNCF, look for their page, and everything's going to be published out there. So anyone who's out there and wants to be a part of it, just come on over. We're starting at 9:00, and
everyone is welcome. And it is a fundraiser. It's $5 for adults, $3 for children, and all of the donations go towards our youth programming, which is so super important. So please participate. Go onto our website, which is artscayman.org, and fill out a registration form or give us a call and get involved.
And be proud of who you are.
Absolutely.
That's the key.
Absolutely.
I mean, I make no apology. I'm from West Bay, but that's just how it is, right?
Hey,
I promise.
I'm from the Brack, so.
Well, I mean, she trumps us all. That's the best. We think we have if you were from East End, but that'd be just a different thing. But thanks, both of you. And I'm trusting as a people that we start to appreciate. And even sometimes we show our love, sometimes publicly. It's not about PDA, it's all about just trying to bring people together.
Yes.
And whether you're from one other part of the Caribbean Islands or whether you come from our field, it's about living and loving and appreciating where we are in this time in particular. So, again, Ms. Amanda, congrats to you.
Thank you very much.
Looking forward to continuing discussions.
Definitely.
Sventisha, always a pleasure, Mommy.
It is always a pleasure to be here, Sterling.
You are, if I may say, you're amazing. You imbue that warm, loving Cayman hospitality, that spirit of our ancestors.
I
so
could
evident
not agree
in you.
more.
That's the Cayman kind we all grew up on.
There you go. There you go. Man. Well, have a blessed rest of the afternoon, and the week be as safe and as productive and as healthy as it can be.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Well,
Thanks
to our
for
listeners,
having us.
it's a pleasure. We're going to have a few minutes of open line when we come back, and then 1:30 on the schedule is something. Let's see if that materializes. We'll tell you what it is at 1:30, but until then, laugh with me, maybe chastise me, maybe advise me. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands.
Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts, MBE, JP. Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts was born at Cotton Tree Bay in Caymanian on 15th October 1916 to James Nathaniel Tibbetts and Elsie Huldah Tibbetts, née Hunter. His father, uncles, and paternal grandfather were highly respected in the island of Caymanian for their skill in carpentry and shipbuilding. In addition to this, his maternal grandfather was a master mariner. Coming from a family of carpenters and seamen and living near the family shipyard, he was involved in the shipbuilding trade from his early childhood. As a young student, he attended school at Cotton Tree Bay under the tutelage of Robert Mr. Bert Foster until Standard 6. And in 1928, at the age of 12, he learned to drive a car. This was part one of a special Sister Islands vignette series dedicated to Captain Keith Parker Tibbetts.
I'll be back. I've got 22 more days.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And maybe I can take a page from last evening's sort of presentation. If you were fortunate and had the opportunity and, made time, and was down at the National Gallery. Ms. Renata put together with, the different sponsors, the gallery in particular, and a lot of the students at SciFec, for want of a better word, offered up a platform for us to look and honor women, but to realize the importance of coming together as a people. And as we heard, from two of the lady presenters, as we saw they dance, there was an opportunity to say, well, what makes you feel empowered? What empowers you? And I think celebrating who you are and the land in which you live is empowering. For some of us, we are, as the scripture says, we see, in others these almost impossible thing to overcome, these impediments. And sometimes that lack of confidence. Now, some of us may think too highly of ourselves, but sometimes it's just a matter of taking that extra level of confidence and nurturing it so that they can continue to excel, and perhaps through that. But then there are those who inspire just by their very presence, their sense of humility, their sense of deference, their sense of life and the love and appreciation they have for others. And through knowledge, we say it's empowering. Through seeing people working collectively together. You think back to ever watching a boat being launched. I don't mean the boat on a trailer and it's being backed down. The one individual can do it. Get the boat in the water, let it float, and then start the engine and back it off. Or sometimes there are maybe two people, the person in the truck, the person in the boat on the trailer. Sometimes there's a third or fourth person just watching the boat and starboard side and making sure. Depending on the size of the boat, the skill, but sometimes also the assistance and companionship of your others who are joining you on that little outing. Now, no man or no person is an island, but one person can significantly make a difference. Think of the people in our lives who inspire us, the people who that they have in a hard day. It could be because of some illness, some particular bit of news that they got. It could just be that at that particular time, on that particular day, something transpired in history, and now they're reminded of it at that moment, and it weighs on them heavily. But yet they persevere. They present not falsely, but with a sincere appreciation for life. You can see the genuineness in them, and they step up to the plate. They come to work. They do their task. They may be retired, but they still do what they have committed and feel obligated to do. And that is the people who you can see in their aura, you see in their spirit, that inspires you. I'm fortunate sometimes to look through, the looking glass and gaze upon a few, and I appreciate that. And that keeps us inspired. So, what empowers you? What is it about where you are that maybe, for now, you need to find yourself surrounded by those who are more positive to find inspiration? But it may be that thing that works and has inspired you that you could share that could or resonate with somebody else and bring them up. We hear oftentimes that there are so many differences. We've probably heard it so often that it's started to become a cliche that we are more alike than we are different. But for some reason, despite that, even knowing, acknowledging, believing, and wanting to see it, we focus on the differences. You ever watch sometimes a photograph is being taken and how the composition is arranged? You put certain people in the back because they're taller. You put certain people in the front because they're more photogenic. You tend to arrange it around so that there is a certain, movement within the frame. Depending on the photographer or the expected sort of portrait that they want to create. But if we highlight the differences, then we may be divided. But if we focus on how we are more alike, we can appreciate it. I use football again. You ever watch sometimes international games and recognizing that even though there may be multiple countries competing, and the two teams on the pitch may share a common language, they may not. All the officials probably speak in different languages, but they all understand the sport. But even in a league match on one team, sometimes they're all the key players, and very rarely, perhaps, they are as fluent in one language, but they're able to communicate through the game itself. Well, that can be an example. But don't even go that far. Go to children at play. I've had the good fortune of watching, children play, whether they speak the same language or not. They play and they get along, they resolve their differences. And it's only when adults sometimes intervene that may make it a little bit less than enjoyable, because the children are playing. They don't see the bias, they don't see the racism, the prejudice, they don't see the discrimination, the division. They're just children playing. And then if you listen to them, hear their laughter and the appreciation that they have, we see how the children just enjoy life. Well, maybe take a page and let the youth sometimes inspire us. And let us realize that the sacrifice that we do every day when we go to work, or the things that we forego, is because we say it's for them. Well, let it actually be for them by making it better for now. 949-8037, toll free with the kind compliments of Flow at 1-800-534-8255. Also, if you're finding it a bit of a challenge to hear because of the static, whatever, let us know and let the off-rig know as well. We've had one or two of our listeners over the last 2 days in particular increasingly share the challenges that they're experiencing, and it's maybe a crowded bandwidth, perhaps encroaching of space and boundaries, but like everything else, we can work it out. So, what's on your mind? Well, let us know. I'm grateful though that more and more of our people are demonstrating that, or as expected, they pay attention to what happens around the globe. And many of our seafarers in recent times have shared, just in passing conversation, when they were traveling in either places where now probably experiencing some significant change, they're able to comment with great insight and a great sense of experience and expertise on what is happening within Europe. But they also said, don't take your eyes off that everything is focused in the news on this, but there's still these issues in other parts of the world. There are these things that have happened even in the last decade or two. And so they're much more mindful that it isn't, as some would share, a shift in news cycle. Today we focus on this for a while, and then we get tired of that and we focus on something else. But all these things have happened and are happening and are still continuing to happen. And as we learn from them while we're listening, we get to appreciate how, through their lens, life has changed, but much is still the same relative to the beguiles of man, as it were. So let's see what we're doing to make it better, and let's see how we're making it better in this space in which we occupy. 949-8037, toll free with the compliments of Flow at 1-800-534-8255, or please WhatsApp 925-3261. Now, this other WhatsApp message shares a similar perspective, relative to culture and the like. And as I read it earlier through the break and just glanced upon it again, it talks about living in a country that is quick to say, we have there's many different nations represented, but is wondering to what extent are we looking, down the road where maybe many of these same people now would have continued to live here and work. Is it going to be a space, just paraphrasing, where we can all afford to continue to live, whether it's a generational Caymanian, or whether it's a person now that at 30 years from now is deciding to retire? Can we afford to still live here? Will it still be that safe place? Will the changes that have transpired in the intervening decades be changes for better? Will it be a place that when we look at the politics, that is still going to be a politically stable place? When we look at the way we approach education and schooling, will it be this growing division in schools? Or we go to that school because it's more expensive and only those can afford that, or go to that school because, and the list now, exchange a quick response to the person sending the message, and the response that came back is that we decide that we, not just those who are here for a long time, but as we bring new people to our shores. The person had relayed a message a few weeks back that they copied and sent back through, and they talked about being mindful that as we bring people here, that we're not inadvertently excluding them, but also we need to be conscious that as they come, that they understand the expectations of them, that whatever was the common practice. Now, I did have a quick conversation, one of those where people actually talk and not just text, and the individual shared that in the organization where a few of them are employed, they can see the practices of the person from the country of origin seem to be not in keeping with the practices of what was the collective view, as he shared with me, of the organization when it came to having days of all the team coming together and having some sort of social, not just the choice in the foods, but the selection of places to go, but the way it was even sort of organized. Now, simple as that may be, if it happens on a very small scale like that, could that be a snapshot of what may be happening in the wider community? Well, we're going to pause and take a break, and when we come back, we're talking about tsunami preparedness as we have that scheduled discussion, and we invite you to rejoin us. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Subway is serving up a special new sauce, bursting with flavor in every bite. The new Savory Collection is a tropical sweet and spicy sauce made with a combination of spices, habanero peppers, thyme, onion, black pepper, ginger, citrus juices, and molasses.
So good. Wow. Sensational.
Delicious. Subway's Savory Collection pairs perfectly with our oven roasted chicken or steak sub. Savor the flavor. For a limited time, only at Subway. Subway. Eat fresh.
You can now book and pay online for your certified lateral flow test at www.hsa.ky/appointment. It's fast, easy, and convenient. Certified LFTs are $25 per test per person. HSA's testing center is located at 131 Center, McClendon Drive, behind Foster's Airport. Walk-ins for certified LFTs are also available. Need a PCR test for travel? These are now only $75. Visit hsa.ky/appointment for more information. Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Boddentown. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Raising children is costly. That is why each year the Ministry of Education provides, through its Early Childhood Assistance Program, funding to assist Caymanian children to attend an early childhood center. For early childhood funding assistance, call the Early Childhood Care and Education Unit at 244-3155 or 936-0267 or download an application form from the ministry's website at www.gov.ky/education and email the completed form to ecap@gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks so much for joining us. And we're grateful now for the opportunity to speak with the good friends over at HMCI, especially with this evolving landscape and opportunity to appreciate that as we look at national emergencies. I think we are hopefully very much not just mindful but respectful of the continuing initiatives relative to hurricane preparedness, but increasingly I think we start to recognize, wait a minute, there are other things that could happen that could constitute a national emergency. I mean, some of it could be that there's no turtle meat at the turtle farm. I mean, that might actually just
disaster.
Disaster. But I just kid. But that is the wonderful company of the director of HMCI, Ms. Danny Coleman. Welcome. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Sterling. It's always a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for inviting us. We've got some exciting news today. I know a lot of the public have already downloaded our new app, but it's exciting times for us, so we're looking forward to talking more about that.
All right, and thanks for bringing along your wonderful colleague. You know, sometimes I see you have your entourage, but now when we look at the technical aspect of it, you know, one is enough, one and done, right?
I tell you, this man deserves a medal because our mitigation specialist, Mark Codling, has really been the brains behind the National Emergency Notification System, both Phase 1, which is the radio interrupt, and Phase 2, this app. So a lot of blood shed and tears have been spent over the last couple of years on this project, and he is really a big star. I'm very, very proud of him.
What, Mr. Mark, I mean, Dennis is just proud of you, man.
I'm incredibly proud of him.
Not just proud, but incredibly proud. But thank you. And this is where I think sometimes we don't appreciate that the resources that we have. Mm-hmm. And I'll be mindful, but I certainly will invite guidance that we draw alongside each other, irrespective of who we are, where we're from, what our skill sets are, what our title, occupation, where we may work, or whether we're retired. But if we're here in this country, we should be working collectively together to make it better, because God forbid there is a national emergency. So whatever that constitutes, whether we have a few days to prepare, whether it's an unfortunate thing that immediately happens as emergencies do, where do we go? Who do we turn to? And what is our resource? Well, you could have the most money, you could have a private jet sitting idling waiting to take you off, but if you're 5 minutes from the jet and you can't get there, it's no good to you.
Yeah, I think we've spent a lot of the last few years trying to break down any silo in first response agencies. I mean, really, any emergency in the Cayman Islands, the chances are we'll all be responding together, because the fact we have such limited resources, and it really does take a full community to be able to respond, be it fire, DEH, police, ourselves, whatever, the full National Emergency Operations Centre. So we've spent a lot of time over the last few years cross-training, but also developing those relationships internationally as well as regionally, as well as obviously in Cayman. So it's really important.
I mean, there's much to be said to leveraging technology from maybe 20 years ago, if that much now. I saw one of the small counties in one of the small states deploy a strategy where they knew they had issues with roads. I don't know whether it was budgetary constraints or whatever, but there were certain roads that were prone to things, and they said to people, hey, if you see an issue with the road, here's a way that you can get us now. That was probably primitive in terms of communicating, but they got the whole community feeding information into one data point where they're able to prioritize and to respond. That has now blossomed into something that...
I mean, it really has, but again, we're massive believers of having contingency plans for everything. So yes, have the technology. We're really massive believers, and some of Mark's work again, both on the mapping, flood mapping, this whatever else, and needs and so forth, is tremendous. We also have the backup plan of the old whiteboards, the flip chart papers, the old school methods, because I think you need both to make sure that if something, the electricity goes off or whatever, we can have that backup.
Yeah, I mean, redundancy is important, and critical. So, Mark, from that perspective, as Daniel was sharing, not just as sort of the mitigation specialist, but as you leverage the technology, as you prepare and plan, and more information comes on, we start to appreciate the things. It's like the census, the census of 100 years ago is relevant today to the results of the census that is just done, because it gives us an opportunity to make further predictions, but as we put the information together, to see patterns or to see certain things. With this, though, I mean, it's...
Sure. And thanks again, Sterling, and good afternoon to your guests. What we're trying to look at, as I would say, data is the new oil, I would say. It's very important that we have critical information we can provide to the public. And so a system with the BlackBerry ad hoc that we recently launched on Monday, it's integrated in such a manner that the information we can leverage in terms of notifying not just the public, but also having an idea in terms of the response mechanism. And what we're trying to do is to not to just notify, but to provide instructions as well. And what we find is, for instance, to make the right decisions. If there's an earthquake or potential impact for a tsunami, or even, which is commonly known, hurricane, tropical storm, preparation in terms of having the public informed accordingly. I think these are key components. What we're trying to do, most persons would have a mobile device. Within that mobile device, while there's voice, text, what we're trying to do is to reach different channels. And of course, without been pushing the app, but also for the SMS as well. And we also have emails. So we're trying to create additional channels as we go along. And I guess in the future as well, we're looking at cell broadcasts, where even if you're on the island or visiting, you don't necessarily need to be on the system, but once you're in range of a cell tower, you'll be able to receive a message. But of course, as Danny mentioned, the whole collaboration. So this project itself, we work closely with public and private sector. So work alongside Digital Flow, for example. They've been very supportive of this initiative, and work alongside several stakeholders in government, being very, very critical to the role from the legal perspective, IT-wise, looking at cybersecurity and all that. It's very extensive. So the key thing is, where we're seeing the technology is moving is having the data is one, but providing that data that's useful information to make the right decisions is what we're aiming towards. And to have the public at their fingertips having this will make definitely the right decisions for individuals.
Yes, I mean, it shows that many hands indeed can make light work if we're working collectively together. And whether there's a national emergency, getting that information out as timely as accurately. But you, the recipient, to know, oh, this is legit, because there's so much that happens that could be. I mean, I can imagine banks, for instance, financial institutions, the challenges they may have when something looks like, oh my goodness, you're the customer and you're not sure. It looks so much like what the bank would send you. And you got to stay a second. So having an official source should help us.
Yes, that's what's one of our taglines as well. Get the official emergency alerts. Always by your side.
I like that. Like a good neighbor.
I like the data's the new oil comment. I think that's awesome. Data's the new oil. It's the first time I've heard that. But it's right. I mean, it is. It's we always say garbage in, garbage out, and I think it's really important to have that right data to work with and make sure. I mean, for example, the data we've had from various projects that Mark's done over the years is, having evidence-based decisions. So, we look at damage assessment, for example, and again, Mark's done a lot of work with planning department and other stakeholders, land and survey, to make sure that what we're basing our decisions are evidence-based. Because of course, a lot of it is very new material, and that data is fantastic. Really strong.
If it's okay, I mean, some people like details, and some people just want the outcome. I like to appreciate, how do we get where we are, and we understand the importance of it, but you're talking about the various stakeholders, and what I used to call the LIS system. Is that what it is over at Lands and Survey? They have GIS, that's probably.
Yeah, we work very closely with them for that.
It's just a wonderful system,
it's
to
fantastic.
access. Not just for registration, so you understand the ownership, but how they're able to look at topography and the like. So you.
Sorry, talking about that, I mean, one of the last things that we did for the last agricultural fair, obviously it was a couple of years back, but we had, because we obviously have access to that as well, we could. Anyone who came up to the store, hazard management, could show us where the house is, and we could talk about how high above sea level it is. So what kind of protections they need to put in place for any eventuality. So it's kind of really sort of individualised attention to people's property that you're going to get much more likely people to react and make preparedness tools.
And I like that, because when we think of data, I think sometimes we don't appreciate. We see it in the news when it's used in a way that perhaps is monetized against us in a sense. But if you know your house, and you can have as much information on a property, and you understand your risk and how you can mitigate that without negatively affecting the surrounding properties. I mean, take for instance, with the greatest respect, we've raised, understandably, the government admin building.
Yes.
But they had to do containment measures to make sure the road is protected, the surrounding properties don't flood. But you can't, build something knowing that this is a risk and not at least acknowledge it, preferably address it, and then eventually, you raise the standard for everything around you. So, Mark, you had your hands full, man.
Yeah.
It's a busy man.
It's been a handful. And you mentioned the whole aspect of the importance of the data and how you utilize it. I think when we did this project as well, a big thing that came up with, because of the system itself, it's required for your email address as part of verification method. And of course, that would be something person would be looking at. Would you be utilizing my email address for marketing purposes? But of course, we're a government, but we adhere carefully data protection laws according to the Cayman Islands. And what's very interesting too is that what we're trying to do is we're trying to save lives. We're trying to ensure that what we're doing is for the benefit of persons for the Cayman Islands. And of course, we're catering as well tourism sector. So if you're a visitor, an external party coming in, you're able to download the app as well. Of course, as a visitor, you will be given like a 60 days period. If you so desire, you can always register along with the system. But the ability to ensure that even visitors coming on board or visiting the island have the ability to receive this information again, it can be life-saving. What actions to take if you're new to the island and so forth. So I think it's definitely an arsenal I can definitely push.
And that's it. I mean, you're in a space and you can get the information without having to actually be aware that such thing exists. And once you get it and understand what it is, then you're that much more informed. After this next break, maybe take us through it, help us understand the more, the technical aspects that you wish to share, Ms. Tanya, as much as the oversight, and get people to appreciate how to get on board and get information, because today is the 9th of March.
We have the tsunami exercise tomorrow morning to test it, so it's a perfect day to do it.
Perfect timing. All right, we're going to do that, and we want you to appreciate that this is, excellent work of our taxpayers' dollars, to your benefit.
Yeah, actually it was partially funded by the FCDO as well.
And the international cooperation, and then the private partners. So this is where coming together collectively makes life better, safer, and puts us in a more secure space. All right, we're going to pause and take that break. When we come back, we invite you to rejoin us.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips for all occasions and celebrations. Let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on the variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And thanks too to HMCI and our director, Ms. Danny Coleman, together with mitigation specialist Mark Cordlin, for sharing with us. nes.gov.ky, right?
Yeah, nes.gov.ky. And if you have any issues with it, nes@gov.ky. We'll respond to emails. We have a phone number, 244
3160.
That's teamwork. Look at that.
You got it? I like that. That's what this is all.
I'm pointing at him because I don't remember his. But again, we have a call centre set up to really help people with that because I mean I know myself I'm not particularly IT savvy, and I really do need assistance, and that's what Hazard Management's there to help to download it and make sure that you're ready for any eventuality.
And I appreciate you taking this time because many of us are not as IT savvy, but at the end of the day we get to appreciate how easy it is to do it.
Yeah.
But you were sharing earlier, there's an exercise tomorrow, but put it in context so that we get to appreciate it. This is about all of us, our safety and security.
It's been a long journey. I mean, I think we started this, years and years ago. So I know Offreg wrote a white paper about 5-6 years ago, whatever it was, and had about 12 different options. We've been looking at the same kind of options, so we have a lot of meetings with Offreg to make sure we're on the sort of same page and discuss the pros and cons of the system and other stakeholders, DPSC and so forth. But, often people say, well, why don't you have sirens over the island? And, of course, one of the things we've realised, we work very closely with the other overseas territories, is that places like BVI, for example, had a fantastic siren system that would alert you on any tsunami, anything else. But unfortunately, hurricanes being the number one hazard, they all got wiped out in Hurricane Irma. And another thing, I went many, many years ago to, I think it was BVI, for a tsunami exercise. And we all knew it was going to happen at a certain time, and we were waiting for the siren alarm. But what the siren alarm sounded like, it was just like a cruise ship horn. So none of us responded because we just assumed it was a cruise ship horn. It's really interesting. But again, because sirens can so easily be knocked out by Mother Nature's hurricane beast, we do really think it's brilliant at certain areas, high residential, very high-risk areas such as oil terminals or so forth. But across the island itself, it's just not the best system. It's also very hard to maintain and very expensive to maintain. So we did a lot of research as to what were the best methods of trying to get the widest amount of people, be it hearing about it or having someone next to you to hear about it. So the first system, obviously the first phase, was the radio interrupt system. And again, you'll hear that tomorrow morning about 9 o'clock, where from our offices, and again, out of office, DPSC take on the role. But we press a button and we can breach all the radio stations with emergency messaging. So, it's just a really good way of assuming you're listening to the radio at the time. And of course, we appreciate people don't listen to the radio all day. Obviously, appreciate people listen to you, Sterling, all day. But you know what I mean? But it's important to realise that that's just one method. So I think with the app, again, being the SMS, the app itself, and the email, it's just another way, and it's a process. So we know it's just another step, but it's a really good step, we think. And again, it was partially funded by the Governor's Office. They've worked closely with us on this, and we really hope to get the cellular broadcast in the next phase. And who knows after that? I think there's just so many methods of getting communication out. But we really strongly encourage the public to download this because, again, it's totally free. We're here to help you download it. And there's just no reason not to get that message. I will say it's a very loud alert. We test it quite frequently in our office. And you're going to wake up in the middle of the night. And, of course, that's the point, right? At the end of the day, if you have a tsunami in the middle of the night, you need to be moving very quickly. And, we give instructions on the actual template. And, you can understand what to do as soon as your phone goes off. But it's very, very loud. So please, tomorrow, if you are around people at around 9-ish, 9:06 or 9:06, don't be alarmed if you do hear that alert because it is the tsunami. Well, it's a test tsunami exercise. But again, it hopefully will encourage others who haven't downloaded yet to download because it's going to be a really good life-saving tool.
Right. As you go to the phones, just for clarity, that 906 test will come through on our radios?
Yep, it'll breach all the radio stations around
all the radio stations, and what else? For tomorrow?
Well, and the app. So anyone who's downloaded the app will get...
So on your phone, and an
SMS and an email.
Right, so we'll do our best to remind our friends and family, but so that as you shared, we hear it now and tomorrow we panic. So it's 9:06 a.m. You hear this alert. It's a test, and
it's a regional test. So what we're doing is it's a regional exercise. We're working closely with the Pacific Tsunami Warning Centre. So I say 9:06. This is what the schedule is. We get a notification from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Centre, both ourselves, the weather, and our friends at Weather and DPSC, and then we'll put the process in place. So it's basically a knock-on effect. Right. And that was what would happen in reality.
Exactly. All right, we do have a caller join us. We have the excellent Miss Danny and Mr. Mark join us. Hey, good afternoon, welcome, thanks for calling.
Rambo speaking.
Hey, Rambo, how are you, man?
Good afternoon to the panel.
Good afternoon to you.
Afternoon, sir.
different selling in the panel now, right? We are looking at like different innovation, different channels, right? Say for instance now, each great law post office gas station. If you guys can utilize like a air horn and a strobe, you understand?
Okay, so in certain places then.
Yeah, so like if you should reach 109 decibels. You understand? So
I think Ms. Dana was saying that around say oil terminals and stuff where it's good but maybe not throughout the island, but you're suggesting higher density areas might be good.
High risk areas is what we think should happen. Now again, it's about how we spend the money the best way. Right now it's going to be the app, and the next phase 3, will be the cellular broadcast. But I think encouraging also independent companies like oil terminals, the private companies, to be coming on board. We've worked very closely with them over the last couple of years. We're still waiting to see sirens, and we'd like to see them. At the same time, again, that we are a very close stakeholder with Sol, with other fuel terminals and the gas companies as well, and they're part of the NEAC as well during activation. But high risk areas, we would really strongly encourage those kind of sirens, and they would have to feed into the national structure, of course.
And just to add to that, we did a risk assessment as well, visually along the South-Sound corridor, where they have the fuel storage facilities. So God forbid, knock on wood, if there should be any incident, we're quickly able to ascertain number of persons will be impacted in terms of buildings, infrastructure, road network. We even worked out in terms of the drive time from the closest fire station and so forth. So we have a situational awareness pre-packaged just in case to activate in terms of having an idea of what would be the possible impact and assets in that region. So we created what we call zones in terms of the most called hotspots, and then moving from like a 0.5 radius to a mile radius. So we know the extent in terms of evacuation, what are the best routes and so forth. So that's already pre-packaged that we developed.
So Rambo? Yeah, hello? Yeah, Rambo, you there? All right. Okay, we lost it. But his points sort of echo what your planning is as well, in having those alerts, having high visibility, high traffic. It's all about our safety, our collective safety. Even schools come into play. Some of the larger schools maybe a little bit more spread out. Some of the schools are maybe a little more condensed.
Yeah, we do a lot of work with schools. Actually, we go into. Last year we've been doing it for years. Tsunami or earthquake drills, but post 2020 earthquake and tsunami scare, within a couple of weeks we've been to hundreds of classrooms to teach on drills, but also PTAs, for example, getting the parents on board, making sure that the hazard plans of the schools are fit for purpose, making sure that schools on the coast can evacuate inland and so forth to a certain area, and having, for example, having a coast school on the coast, knowing where to go. If you don't own anything that's got 2 stories close, where are you going to take all the kids? I know we saw a lot of issues after the earthquake in 2020, everyone running out the buildings. Again, we have very good planning codes in the Cayman Islands. So the chances are, if there is a tsunami scare, you don't want to be outside, especially anywhere near the coast. So you're better off staying put until the tsunami all clear has been given by the government.
Let's rejoin the caller. Welcome back, Mambo.
Yeah, this is apologetic. We're doing tours, laundry, cooking. Different. Ms. Coleman mentioned, right, like private sectors, right? They're looking at the cheaper route to economize. It's coming from. So, obviously, the private sector, they need to go on board with the monetary funds to execute this partially. All right?
Okay, all right, thanks, man. So, I guess as the caller was sharing that, this is one of those examples of a public-private partnership where.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the private sector appreciate that, of all the working people, some are in the public sector, but there are a lot in the private sector as well. And
I think that's the point. Private-public sector partnerships are absolutely critical. We've done a lot of work in the past with R3, for example. They've funded certain parts of our equipment, and we're very grateful for that. You have to have everyone playing ball here and everyone working together for everyone's safety. We have a lot of vulnerable people in the Cayman Islands, and we need to make sure we're looking after each other and ourselves, but in particular each other.
I think, like everything, if we're knowledgeable about something, we have the sufficient education, information about it, we're naturally going to become somewhat a little more anxious and apprehensive, a little more fearful. We're working and, there is an earthquake, the building is shaking. The most calm and collected of us sometimes can be a little bit flustered. And then we got children, aging parents, spouses, we want to respond, but is it better and safer and smarter to stay where we are because that's the better option?
Yeah, I mean, again, going back to that earthquake we had in 2020,
Yes.
we had so many parents get in the car and go to the schools. That is literally the worst thing you can do. I appreciate, I'm a stepmom, how, you desperately trying to get to kids to get them, but the best thing to do is make sure in blue skies, as in now, to make sure that the plan in place for the school is very, very comprehensive, that you've seen the plan, that you agree with the plan, that you've asked the teachers what the plan is so they all know, and then just make sure that they have done their drills on a regular basis with hazard management or internally until you're comfortable. So once the all clear's been given, you can get in your car, but as soon as you get in your car, obviously there'll be first responding agencies out. So if we have a massive road traffic jam, you can't get your fire service, your police service, your ambulance service, everything gets blocked up. And if you're, obviously before the tsunami all clear's been given, you could potentially be washed away. Yeah. And so please, again, begging all parents not to do that, but encouraging them strongly to ask the schools what the plans are for a tsunami.
And maybe we'll continue. I think we get into the space where more of us who have been here for any time are appreciative of the exercises, the preparation relative to hurricanes. We start to understand and respect earthquakes and other disasters. This app should help us. But as we do our personal sort of safety plans, our businesses have their continuity plans for operations. They also have them for the safety of staff. And maybe as parents, I share with you, the first thing you want to do is the building's on fire, you're going to run in to get your child. That's understandable.
Totally.
But anyway,
please don't do it.
All right, what we will do is invite you to return after we go to our news break as we continue this discussion. Now, we can tell you how to go about it, nens.gov.ky. So you can download the app, you can get the information, and you can see the great and continued work of not just HA, but as Ms. Nani said, the incredible Mark Hardling. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Follow Radio Cayman on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio Cayman.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Police have now officially confirmed that 53-year-old David Bodden from Georgetown is the man whose body was found on Eastern Avenue on Friday, March 4th. Mr. Bodden was found at the intersection of Eastern Avenue and Watler Drive. No cause of death has been released. Police express condolences to the family. In international headlines, scientists say they have found the sunken wreck of polar explorer Ernest Shackleton's ship Endurance, more than a century after it was lost to Antarctic ice. The Falklands Maritime Heritage Trust says the vessel lies 10,000 feet below the surface of the Weddell Sea, about 4 miles south of the location recorded in 1915 by its captain, Frank Worsley. An expedition set off from South Africa last month to search for the ship, which was crushed by ice and sank in November 1915. Apple has unveiled a new version of its budget-priced iPhone that's capable of connecting to ultra-fast 5G wireless networks, an upgrade that's already been available on the company's upscale models for more than a year. The latest iPhone SE marks the first upgrade to the bare-bones version of Apple's most popular product in nearly 2 years. In the latest sign of inflationary pressures that have been impacting the economy, the new iPhone SE will sell for $429. That's an 8% increase from the $399 price tag for the last version that rolled out nearly 2 years ago during the early stages of the pandemic. The new iPhone SE will be available in stores in the U.S. March 18th. Those are your headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom. I'm April Cummings.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thank you so much for joining us in the studio. Danny Coleman, together with our colleague Mark Hardling, joins us. I'm in inspired and encouraged that we have this continuing partnership, not just across the financial sort of contributions from the FCO through the governor's office to our own expenditure from our coffers, but the private sector coming on board, from the IT perspective, from our own partnerships across the government, different entities. But this always has to sort of be collated, as Mr. Lockstill will say, so that it gels and is effective. With respect to the app, I mean, it's just recently been launched. Uptake, what has it been like so far?
Well, so far, I mean, last time before I came in the studios, we had like roughly 1,500 users so far. Wow. That would include mobile app, SMS, and email. And just to say, I mean, we've been doing some beta testing over the last year, just to iron out any kind of creases. You don't want this thing going live and having massive issues. We've had a few people with registration issues, but it comes down to registration issues. So yeah, we had, I think it was 200 on our books on Tuesday, so we've had 1,300 in the last couple of days. Sorry, 2 days, a day and a half. Yes, so we started Monday morning. About 200 something.
Yeah,
it's
been a good uptake.
I mean, you think over not even 3 days, right? Yeah. Averaging about 500 a day. And the information that people would get, probably we were talking about it, as if so they register. Take us through it if that's okay.
Sure. And as you can see right there in the pamphlet, it's 4 easy steps. And
when I put glasses on,
yes, no problem.
I'm not sure your listeners can see it.
No problem. And just to highlight, the most important step is step 1, which we call opt-in. In simple words, it's for the user to register via a website. So when you visit our website at nens.gov.ky, first you'll see on your right opt-in. You click on opt-in, and it provides you a list of questions. So it'll ask you, number 1, are you a resident or a visitor? What's defined as a visitor would be person staying 60 days. So you could indicate either option, but we recommend if you're a resident, of course, you highlight resident. If you're a visitor, you go for a visitor. Second question is, would you like to be notified for all 3 islands?
So Mark, before you get there,
sure.
The first step is, as you said, is to opt in, and then you have to provide an email address.
An email address is required for verification purposes for the app, based on the system architecture. So the vendor that we selected for this particular product, given its level of security, is the BlackBerry ad hoc. No, they have been out, not necessarily doing handsets again, but they're focused heavily on software, and they have been very resilient in terms of their system and mechanism. So the email address is required for verification process when you register for the app. So that's used like as an identifier per se, to say that this user is actually this user for this mobile device.
Which is very much like what we do normally with other stuff.
Exactly, and it also helps against abuse of the system. You get some people applying for it over and over and over again, so we're trying to avoid that. But just as an FYI, again, it will not be used for any marketing. We're only going to use this alert system and the data for just absolute urgent needs, so it's not going to be misused in any shape or form. We've done a lot of work, as Mark says, with the data protection specialists, and we are very confident that we're abiding by the law.
Yes, and on the website itself, for the persons who have that legal lens, they could look at the privacy notice that provides the intended use and purpose of why we call it the email address.
Now we do have a call, but we want to take us through because there are 4 steps, right?
Yes. So the 4 steps. So once you go to the website, indicate, it will ask you in terms of which of the 3 islands you'd like to receive alerts. So we recommend you go with all 3. But in any major event, would notify you for all 3 islands, which is sister islands, so Cayman, and Grand Cayman, of course. The last question would ask you pretty much, would you like to select the following options as it relates to the mobile app, email, or SMS? You can select all 3, but we're recommending persons to really go for the app. Once you selected that, it will ask for your email address. You insert the email address, and of course, it's important you check the boxes to say you agree with the data being collected, and click submit. And so you click submit, you will say congratulations, you have been registered. The second step will be going to the mobile app store itself. So if you're an Android or Apple user, of course, the Apple Store, guys, for the Android will be Play Store. You will search for BlackBerry ad hoc app. You download the app. Therefore, next step will ask you to insert the email address that you registered on the website with. Once you insert that email address, it will therefore send a verification email in your inbox. You'll check that email from BlackBerry ad hoc, click verify now. Once you click verify now, it will return to the mobile app, and within a few seconds, depending on if it's an iOS or if it's an Android, it will then ask you for the organization code, which is step 4. And the organization code is simply HMCI. We would recommend persons to use all caps. That's HMCI.
Okay. And this now, I was asking if the emergency app can be downloaded on any phone. Doesn't matter whether you have a BlackBerry, Android, or any.
We have found the Apple phones have a slightly more secure. I do want to call it security system.
Yes, security setup.
We've had a few issues with that, but we've seemed to iron them out. And again, Android or Apple,
all right,
whatever.
Perfect. We'll take it through. So let's take this caller.
Sure.
Okay, Danny Coleman and Mark Hodlin are our guests. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling. Hello. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Okay, welcome. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I trust that you all are.
Thank God, indeed.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. I'm calling because it didn't work for me. The app didn't work for me. I went through all the process. And it when I got to put in the code HMCI or HMIC or H whatever it is.
HMCI.
HMCI, yes. And I did it common and caps. It doesn't matter, and it did not work for me.
Well, you want me to take that one? All right. So one of the key tips. So based on what did you receive a message? What was the error message you received? Let me firstly find out. What's the error message?
I don't even remember what it is because I did that like a day or 2 days ago, something like that, when it first hit the airwaves.
Okay. So what we have picked up, and just assuming, the registration step is key. Did you visit the website first?
Oh yes, that's what I tell you. I read
okay.
it, then I went and I got the app. I actually deleted the app since it didn't work.
Okay. So when you visited the website, did you receive a message that indicated congratulations?
Yes, I did, and it sent me right back. I mean, as I clicked verify, it went right back into you would say the app.
Yes, and then it asked you for the organization
and then I followed
code.
All the procedures there, and it did not work.
What we could do, if it's okay, we could take it off here, but we could provide you my direct contact number, and I will have that sorted out for you.
Sure.
Because we are more than happy to ensure that everyone is on board.
That's what we're here for. I mean,
that's what we're here for.
A few minor glitches, and I think that's a lot of the.
You could probably speak to the help desk that we have set up. Danny, you don't mind?
The 244 number.
Yeah. So we have a team dedicated, sir, to handle these queries, walk you through, basically hold your hand, ensure that everything is taken care of. As I say, a personal touch, a Cayman kind.
Okay.
Cayman kind.
So if it's okay, do you have a pen? I will just give it this number.
Oh yeah.
Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
You could call it right now too. That's 244 31 60.
Oh, okay.
So if you call the extension right now, our team will be able to walk you through the process and ensure that everything is good and you're on board.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, please. And as you shared, I mean, there might be some little glitches with some phones.
Yeah. We've had certain people spelling it wrong, for example, or not registering, or this kind of thing. So I think we've done a year of test running this to making sure that we know what the glitches are, and we can solve that from our FAQs and having that personal touch.
Cool. Yeah, and just to add to that, and what we're looking at, the NEN system itself is part of our product going forward to sustainability. So ongoing marketing, ongoing community engagement will be key. So we'll be out there in the communities, we'll be out there with the schools, we'll be out there with different initiatives and partnering along different events or so forth that we can really, showcase the persons.
And this is for national emergency alerts. You will get this. I mean, we can advance perhaps in time to come, but for now, we want to be receiving timely, accurate information from that official verified source.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, if thinking back to January 2020, if we had that system up and running, it would entire event, we could indicate to persons, yes, there is a tsunami, no, there's a tsunami, without persons having to think about, yes, we did the radio alert, but having that personal touch of information coming from the government, it makes a heck of a difference, a major difference, should I say.
A lot of us have our phones with us, whether we get texts on it, emails, or other notifications. Then there are others.
And you're going to be sitting in a restaurant with someone's phone goes off. I mean, it's really loud.
Yeah.
So even if you haven't downloaded it, I mean, we're encouraging everyone to download it. So I think if we've got 1,500 or whatever it is right now, we still need 68,000 or whatever. At the same time, you're going to hear this. It's really is. It'll get you out of bed very quickly.
Indeed. I go back to the December 2004. Different infrastructure. There was an earthquake there, and fast forward to January 2020, it didn't seem to have the same impact, even though I think the 2020 earthquake was much more, was a much stronger earthquake from what I recall. The 20. In the 2004 one, the infrastructure was temporarily interrupted in terms of being able to make and access cell coverage.
Coverage, yes.
Yeah, and then 2020 seemed to be okay. With this system and the alerts, what are some of the redundancies that we have in place to make sure that just an event? Mark?
Well, there's twofold to it, and just thinking about it, if there should be a comms outage or blackout, while we have the radio alert that we can rally on as one component, what we have done, this system is actually a cloud-based solution. So working with the vendors, if it's a very large-scale emergency, we're able to even trigger the system from outside the Cayman Islands. So that's a beauty, working with BlackBerry from a secure standpoint. So what we're trying to do is, even if there's a slightest means of communication that exists on the island, we can fire from outside, in addition to working with the radio alert component. Because if there's outage of power in particular, we know that, we saw that even with doing tropical, I think, Ida.
Grace or one of them.
And Grace. Yeah. After a long duration, yes, the cell towers will be running, but after a while it'll be outage. But the radio alert is the more robust network. So what we're trying to do is ensure we have as much communication channels as possible, SMS, email, and of course you mentioned SMS. So we could fire the system from outside, which we could have in terms of SMS messages going. So if persons don't necessarily have quote unquote data, we go back to some fundamentals.
You can get a text message.
Yes.
You don't have what once your phone is powered on, you'll be able to get it.
Yes.
It was interesting in Hurricane Irma, when I was deployed to BVI. The only thing that worked was the radio stations in the end, and one or two of them, and then WhatsApp. The phone didn't work, nothing else worked. So I think it's having, I don't know what the rationale is, but having contingency plans for the whole family. We can do what we can do from our end, obviously, phase 1, phase 2, the app and the radio alert, but making sure those plans are in place for the family so that you do have backup communications plan, both internally, family in the Cayman Islands, but also externally overseas.
Well, we'll take our final break and invite you when we return to share as much as you want, to remind people, downloading the app. Initially seems relatively simple. You've did a concierge, personal touch, and offering up there. Was it 244-3160?
Yes.
It's for people to have a help desk available to them.
Yes.
I mean, any easy that would be someone taking your phone, putting it on for you.
Well, that's what he did to me.
I was passing you mine, right?
And to be honest, if somebody comes by the com billing and should just say they want to come by HMCI to a system to upload it, we are ready and able.
Actually, talking of that, we're at the front desk tomorrow at the Government Administration Building from 9 till 11, I think it is. So anyone who's anywhere near Government Admin tomorrow on Elgin Avenue, come on down. We'll download it for you.
All right, and we want to talk about that exercise tomorrow as well, just a little bit when we return. And we want everybody to be safe and involved, and to find out that together we can make it safer and better. So please rejoin us after this short break.
Music.
Shorty coming with a Cayman vibe.
Music. It holds a special place in our Caymanian heritage and culture.
It unites our community,
fuels our spirit of positivity,
and keeps Caymankind alive. Music. From kitchen bands and gospel singers to reggae, hip-hop, and country.
The new generation of Caymanian artists and performers.
Our taste in music may be diverse, but let's come together as one Caymanian song. Keep the love alive. Keep the love alive.
The Cayman Music and Entertainment Association thanks you for your support of our local talent here in Cayman and beyond.
For more information on musicians, DJs, or to learn about the CMEA, call 929-8646 or email cmeainfo@gmail.com.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Government's new recruitment portal offers job seekers a paperless online process that makes it easy to apply for more than one job anywhere, anytime. With this step forward in our online recruitment presence, you can keep track of outstanding applications and appointments and receive notifications about your applications. Visit the careers.gov.ky portal and use the new one-stop shop for civil service recruitment to further your career.
You know what I love to do with my family? Go fishing. I can put the bait on and cast and reel the line all by myself. My mommy and daddy say when they were little, there were plenty more fish to catch, but now there are lots more people fishing, so it's harder to find them. That's why we have marine parks now. They set some areas aside so the fish there can have babies and grow bigger. Then they swim out to other areas where I can catch them. Having the marine parks means there will still be fish there when I'm grown up and fishing with a family of my own.
For more info, download the Cayman DOE app or visit doe.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome back. Thanks for that last call. And for those who are listening to our guests share about the nens.gov.ky. Nens, this is Danny Coleman and Mark Codling, our guests.
Yeah, again, we're just really excited about this. It's a really big development for communication of messaging in the Cayman Islands for any emergency. And I think, again, anyone can download it, but we're here to help anyone do so who have any issues in that download.
And I think it helps us to appreciate that there's just an added level of safety, of knowing that we have verifiable information that's coming to us, that's going to be utilized, not, and I appreciate the emphasis you put, not on spamming people. Oh, there's a sale on, this weekend for 4 hours only. When you get
there's no marketing whatsoever.
You know that this is something that you
legit.
Pay attention to.
Yeah. And it won't be until you really need to hear it, because again, we're not going to be sounding it for a queue in one of the supermarkets. It's going to be for the real big emergencies.
And that level of preparedness, as we understand what and how to use the app, but as we start to appreciate that our own personal safety and preparation will go hand in hand. And more and more businesses, as the caller prior was saying, that partnership. I can think of some large employers here, where in their buildings, not only in government, but in their buildings, they've got between customers and staff, at any point, could be a couple hundred people.
Yeah, and I guess one of the other things that we do as in management, we do quite a wide range of different things, is reviewing all the continuity of operations plans. And of course that's absolutely critical, both public and private, because you want to make sure that after you've had an impact of whatever the emergency is, that you can continue operating, that if your staff levels are down or that there's no communication or transport, what are you going to do about it? So again, even the private entities often send us their plans as well as their other emergency plans, so we can review those and provide feedback.
Exactly. And many entities, hire consultants to review, thinking of other jurisdictions, probably even here, and spend a lot of money. But if you have a concerted, coordinated effort across the country, it makes not just response easier, but I think our primary priority is the safety, very much.
Yeah.
We're
only as strong as our weakest link, and that's public and private in the Cayman Islands. So unless we're all working together and in a way that's very focused, then it'll be effective.
As you shared at the outset, and just a quick reminder to our listeners, 9:06 or thereabouts tomorrow morning, your phones will make a loud sound.
Assuming you've downloaded the app.
So do not panic.
You're not having a heart attack.
It's just an exercise, right?
Yeah, and again, everyone can get involved in the tsunami exercise. There's a press release going out this afternoon about how to get involved. Look at our social media sites, our Facebook sites, and our website, and all that information will be on that, as well as the government site. So you can actually be part of the exercise. I think the exercise we're doing here in Cayman is testing the system. Other islands, in the past, for example, we've done workshops with first responders, also other communication style exercises. This year, again, is very much focused on the NENs. But again, please be part of it, and please download the app beforehand. And don't be alarmed tomorrow morning at 9:06 if your radio goes berserk and your neighbour's phone or your own phone goes wild.
I can see some of us now coming off shift, probably just finally getting into bed, and you reach to turn off the alarm. I thought that's when I was supposed to go off until the 3 o'clock shift, and can't get it to go off. All right, so well, we want them not to be alarmed, but how can we participate?
Maybe be alarmed, but don't be alarmed. It's a test exercise. But the idea is to get used to what the sound's like. So again, not used to it too much because we're not going to be using it much, but to understand what the sound is, and when that sound goes off, what you need to do about it.
Sort of like your mother's call sometimes when you know that she is
Sterling.
When she called all 3 names,
you're in big trouble.
All right. And how can people get involved? I know the press release will come out, but we were at our desk, we're on our way into work, we're just leaving a shift, we're getting breakfast.
You can be part of the regional exercise. Again, all those details on our website as to how to join the regional, if you want to log on to the regional exercise. There's different variances of tsunamis around the region, so seemingly tomorrow morning. Again, it's a pure an exercise. And we've chosen a tsunami coming from Panama. It's a relatively small one, but at the same time, our response has to be the same. You can sign up to the actual exercise itself, or again, just download the app and wait for the response tomorrow morning around 9:06, depending on...
Be at JB tomorrow.
Yeah, and then come again. Any issues, come to GAP tomorrow, government administration, and we can help download. But we're going to be there, and we're going to test the system, and again fix any issues. We're all about debriefing from our emergencies and our exercises. So any flaws that we find either in the system or whatever it is, we will be fixing over the next couple of weeks.
And I can see that within our schools, some of us as parents, probably IT specialists, we probably have other roles that we play in our daily lives.
Yes.
We serve in the PTA, we can coordinate with the school through the partnership with SMCI, making sure that the teachers, all who are on the site at that time, but in particular our children, the students,
definitely,
that they're not just safe, but they feel as calm and as protected as possible.
There are a number of schools actually participating tomorrow in the exercise itself, so it'll be interesting to see what feedback we get from them as well.
Yeah. And it's one thing to know that an exercise is taking place. We think of, I don't do it now, but way back when you'd have a fire drill, on Friday morning at 9:15, we're going to have a fire drill. And some people who were on vacation would come in. And then there were times when one or two organizations, only the fire marshal and 2 other people knew it was a drill. Just to see how the building would respond.
I think the best drills are the ones that you don't know about.
You don't know about. Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, because tomorrow is a planned exercise, and that is what it is. But at the end of the day, I know we're going to be doing a bit more exercising this year with our multi-agency stakeholders on unplanned events. So you're not all ready to go when
because it's not
stop practicing really the reality of the situation.
But once you know what something is, you train, you get it. It's not unlike practicing your final exams by going through past papers. And a question might come up that looks similar. It might be something that's completely different, but you've practiced on the test conditions.
Muscle memory, all the way.
That's what it is, huh?
Muscle memory.
You just go to the gym.
Emergency muscle memory.
All right, well, as we close the discussion, Mr. Mark, maybe first with you, any closing thoughts you may want to leave with the listeners?
I think I'd go with my usual. Persons, sometimes we simply fail to plan. So we have to ensure that we plan ahead. And part of this process over the years is working closely with the stakeholders. And a massive big up to the entire CIG government, especially our colleagues from PR. They've been wonderful in terms of this particular leg. our guys from IT, and of course from the privacy and data unit as well. They've been very supportive. All the stakeholders, and of course, partnering with the private sector is very crucial in having this, and the NGOs having this particular rollout. So, a massive kudos to everyone.
Well, that's a continued partnership. Ms. Danny?
I think I'm giving thanks. It's all about gratitude today. The communication, the radio sector is such a critical aspect. Communications is getting the word out, helping us share the messaging on needs and any other emergency is critical. So thank you, Sterling. But I do want to give a massive, massive shout out to Marky here, because he's done so much work on this. And again, it would never have happened, I don't think, had it not been for our superstar boy here. So we really are very, very proud of his work. We think he's going to go far. So the next president of somewhere, Jamaica, in the next 10 years. But again, massive, massive kudos to him, because he's lots of weekends, lots of evenings, lots of late nights, and he's really pushed it over the finishing line, and we're very proud of him for that.
Well, we've seen regional cooperation, economically and politically. We're seeing, I think, to weather management, we're seeing things. So maybe this is just another one of those continuing steps towards regional unity.
Yeah. We were on the phone all morning to SEDEMA, which is the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, and we're working very closely with them as well, and overseas territories earlier on this week, and FCDO. So those regional partnerships are fantastic.
Well, you know what? Sometimes, you don't have to back all the water yourself, and even if your friend comes along, can't carry
each other.
There you go.
Yeah.
True. Thank you both very, very much. And looking forward to, hearing that exercise was a resounding success and future discussions with you.
And if it wasn't, then we'll make sure we fix it.
But that is a success, right? Because you identified
100%
what works and what doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, tomorrow is another day. We invite you to be a part of a continuing programming, as we invite you to come back for Talk Today after midday news. But between now and then, there's a lot that we can do. Maybe first we start by going to nes.gov.ky and downloading the app. Be cognizant of the exercise. It is an exercise, so if you get alarmed, just remind yourself it is an exercise at 9:06 a.m. So we test our emergency responsiveness. Until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside.